Well, it's now Monday, the 12th, our last day here in San Diego, and we're at the Wild Animal Park.
Here are some elephants back over your right shoulder. We have half a dozen lovely ladies eating breakfast this morning. These are all females, by the way. There aren't any males out here, and that's just the way the females prefer it, too. Elephants live in a matriarchal society. That means that the females are in charge, and they mean it. The male elephant doesn't even stand a chance. As soon as a male elephant becomes an adult, all the females get together, they throw a nice little bon voyage party for him. What makes the Wild Animal Park really quite a bit different from most zoos throughout the world. Here at the park, we've got 5 large exhibits like this one. Now here's the East Africa exhibit. We have some Uganda cub out on the grass. Those are the orange-colored antelope, the smooth orange fur, about half a dozen of them. You know, orange is a surprisingly good color to be because most animals can't see it. We have a southern white rhino just below the front of the train, taking a snooze. Weighs about 5,000 pounds. It's a fairly large individual. Watching the trains go by, actually probably just sleeping in. Rhinos do sleep in. They tend to take it easy during the first part of the day. It helps them stay cool that way. The bigger you are, the hotter you get. So these rhinos tend to conserve energy during the first part of the day. They'll be out and about a little later on. We've also got a Sitatunga. That's this cute little one with the orange fur and the white markings on her back by the feeding trough. Sitatunga spend almost their entire lives in and around the water. In fact, that's where their lives begin. A female Sitatunga actually builds a floating raft out of reeds and vegetation, and she gives birth to her calf on top of that floating raft, and that keeps the baby safely away from the predators out there in the water. It's a Sitatunga. Now, with all these animals out here in the East African exhibit, there aren't any zebras. See, the zebras are over here on the left-hand side. When these zebras seem as though they're romantically inclined, they're actually trying to start a fight. There's a wrestling maneuver that's actually very similar to an amorous suggestion, and that's what's going on up there. They're just harassing each other right now. And zebras tend to do this. Zebras are real firecrackers. There's a lot of reasons why you can't put a saddle on a zebra and go riding off into the sunset. They're just not interested in cooperating. There's a little one up there, just trotting across the road with its mother. Only three days old, that little one. Not even a week old. Actually pretty big for being less than a week old. I'll pull forward so we get another look at her. There we go. Look at those long legs. It'll take that little foal a while to grow into those long legs. There's another zebra foal who's about 4 months old up ahead of us at the feeding trough. I tell you, we're going to pull all the way on up here. And that's why they're up here in the penalty box instead of out in the big exhibit with everybody else. We used to keep these Grevy zebra out in the large enclosure. Many years ago, they were running around out in the big exhibit, but they were getting into fights constantly. And Grevy zebra don't fight fair. These are very social zebra. You can see how they all stick together in a group. Well, when they get into fights, they like to gang up on whoever gets in their way, outnumber them, use them for soccer practice, and just make life difficult for whoever is convenient at the time. So that's why they're up here these days. But they certainly are a beautiful animal. No two zebra have the same set of stripes, by the way. That striping pattern varies from one individual to the next. Each one has a unique paint job. Yeah, Grevy zebra from East Africa. Swimmers. In fact, these deer have been found swimming in the ocean 1 to 2 miles offshore, which is really a strange place to find a deer. You're out there on a fishing trip and a herd of deer goes paddling by. It's an unexpected sight, no doubt. They're called Malayan somber. We've also got the Persian goitered gazelle from the dry plains of southwest Asia, just up ahead of us. Those are the little gazelle, kind of a light sandy color, only about 2.5 feet tall. Those little Persian goitered gazelle, they're not very big, but they are fast. Those little guys can run 55 miles per hour when properly motivated. We've also got the nilgai. These are the blue-gray colored antelope, keeping a low profile underneath the laurel tree. Very handsome antelope, the nilgai. Much bigger than those little gazelle. In fact, the nilgai is the largest antelope in Asia, weighing about 1,000 pounds. It's Mr. Ed saying good morning to us. He's not having an asthma attack or anything. He's just vocalizing. Like the zebras, these Kiang have an attitude. Mr. Kiang. Over on the right-hand side, one of the big kids on the block, up ahead of us at the feeding trough, this is Gainda. And of course, old Gainda's at the feeding trough having breakfast. She starts breakfast at about 6 o'clock in the morning, and it doesn't end until at least 6 o'clock at night. It's an all-day event for her, and it's no wonder she weighs close to 8,000 pounds. She's the biggest rhino we have at the park right now. She's an Indian rhinoceros. She's got the thick folds of skin, so it makes her look as though she's wearing a suit of armor. My goodness.
Don't forget me.
He's just upset because I didn't introduce him first. That was a wild ass, ladies and gentlemen, and certainly lives up to his flattering title there. Always goofing off. Like the zebras and the Kiang, he doesn't have any social skills either. Great news. In fact, they've done so well here at the park that 10 years ago we took 30 Arabian oryx that had been born right here, and we bought them a plane ticket back home for the first time. We flew 30 of them back to Saudi Arabia. We sent them loose into the desert nearby, and over the last 10 years, that group from the park has multiplied into hundreds and hundreds of completely wild Arabian oryx. They're back home again, and they appear to be doing better and better every year, which is great news. Plus some other areas, people use them in Australia for a little while, even in the American Southwest. The U.S. Cavalry did a little experiment with camels. And it's true, camels do come in handy when you're traveling across the desert. One reason for that is that you don't have to stop and feed them very often. The hump on a camel's back is made out of fat. These are called mountain zebra, and if you look around, you'll see about half a dozen of them down at the riverbed. But look how they've spread out a little bit. You see, this is the difference. Mountain zebra are just as likely to get into a fight, but they're not as likely to gang up on their neighbors. And that's simply because mountain zebra don't even like each other very much, so they tend to be a lot more solitary. If they do get into mischief, they'll at least do it by themselves rather than as part of a group effort. Now, bison are often seen roaming across the American prairies and parklands, but that's not the only place that they come from. The bison you're looking at here are native to Poland. It's just that you don't hear much about Polish bison. Now, vultures really do have a thankless job. Vultures are garbage disposals. If the lions have had lunch or somebody didn't make it across the road in time, these guys get to pick up the mess. They eat the carcass. And now that's pretty impressive, too. A vulture can eat anything and not even get a stomachache. Vultures have a powerful immune system that protects them from germs, and they need it because they're always eating things that are way past the expiration date. So they get exposed to very high levels of bacteria. Salmonella, botulism, some of the worst things that you could ever imagine. These vultures aren't bothered by it at all.
Elephants can't see below them that well, so this is all being done by feel. And in front, where we'll have her show her ladylike qualities and then very daintily gonna wave goodbye to everybody. Here she goes. Good job, Carol. Bye-bye, Carol.
A whole lot. Thank you all very much. On behalf of all of us here at Rare and Wild America, welcome to our show. Please hold the desk. Got in very quickly. He's searching around. He's picking something up. He's got something. Well, bring it on over. You know, actually, I think that kind of shows why you really don't ever want to leave your picnic basket or anything else. Hold on just a second, Ralph. Go ahead, put that down. Because you never know when an animal might get into your stuff. I think Ralph's a little confused about this whole bandit concept. I think he's trying to return the merchandise. Can I see what it is? Let's see. It's a wonderful treasure. It's an empty aluminum can. But you know what? That probably explains why Ralph didn't just leave it lying around anywhere, because that's not how we treat empty bottles and cans here at the Wild Animal Park. We recycle them. So make sure if you finish drinking something today out of a can or a bottle, that you just don't take it and then just toss it aside, because if you do, you might have an animal picking it up and bringing it all the way back to you just like that, pointing out the many recycling bins that we have. Thank you. Well, Ralph has one more thing he'd like to share with all of you. It's his special way of thanking you all for joining us here at the Rare and Wild America Show. And it gives Ralph a chance to show off the fact that his paws can do things besides steal. Well, that isn't what I had in mind, Ralph. There's something a lot more spectacular you can do with those paws. Ralph, are you looking for other delicious treats? No, you're just prolonging this, I can tell. With a great big wave, Ralph.